In a way, I kind of feel spoiled because I remember when John Lennon and the Beatles were putting out their music, and they were so influential. And the whole idea, when I started getting into music, the Beatles were still playing together. And this whole idea that music has a mission beyond just the, glorification of the self, but doing something to help the world. For me, that was part of the main reasons for getting started in music in the first place. And it was afterwards, when the years started to change and it became a little bit more the sort of me culture, that I couldn't figure out, well, where do I fit into this, It's like there's a lot of stuff I want to say, and people are saying, oh, that's so cliche now. They're not into that. So it's great to see people maintaining that legacy,
It's so important, and there aren't really enough people doing that.
And it's now needed more than ever. It's now needed more than ever, because in those days, we were saying things like, well, look, if we don't change, pretty soon, the environment is going to be totally going down the tubes, and we're going to be seeing major political unrest and so forth, and sure enough, it's just way more important than ever. Thinking about America, kind of a soul searching about our nation. When you think about where we're at right now, we don't really have any industries. I mean, what do we make that the world buys anymore? The only thing really is, music, film, stuff like that. That's basically the only industry left that we can export to the world, which is actually a very beautiful thing if we develop that and we say, okay, that's what we are, that's what we do. Let's train our young people to be super good at that, then that could be part of our blueprint. I also get a lot of inspiration from nature. And the title of my album that's coming out is State of Nature, and when I was recording it, I was doing a lot of vacationing in the middle and going to natural areas, and one of the places where I went was a place where they teach nature awareness. And so I was exposed to some of the stuff that they were doing, and it was really amazing because they do things like they spread out across the land, and they have different people to go to different sectors, and then they report on what they saw and the timing of everything, because they want to know, they want to understand everything that's going on in the natural world. So like somebody will say, well, I saw the weasel come into my sector at, 3:25, Then another person will be, well, that's funny because at 3:25, I heard the blue jay make that noise that it makes when the weasel's coming, and then at 3:30, I saw the weasel. So then they map it out. Okay, so the weasel went here. You know what I mean? I mean, they've got like hundreds of thousands of data points of these observations that they've collected. And so one of the things I want to work with them on is actually using sound as a way of analyzing all the data, which is kind of another subject, but there's a lot of stuff I want to do with them. But just being there, it got me thinking, because one of the things that they like to do is bring people to a better awareness of nature, especially like people who are living in the city. And even in the city, there's evidence all around you of the natural world, but you're not taught to pay attention to it. And you tend to not seek it out, and everything. And so what's interesting to me is like, okay, with a facility like this, everything is real high tech. So you normally think of that as being one side of the spectrum. The techies are not, you don't think of them as being the nature type people, right? And so when you have it mobile like this, you can bring the two together, because you can go, like to some of the places where I go to get my inspiration, I'll bring a little 2-track recorder or something like that. But I mean, with something like this, you could take it to the next level, because then you have the best of both worlds.